Is this news coming too late for NIO? I'm talking about new plans that NIO want to build for their sub-brand, so not for the NIO brand, and aligning to that how this is actually in line with the overall goals. And for this, we have to go back actually to the so-called Hefei agreement. If you remember, if you follow my YouTube since 2019, 2020, I made this the basis of my personal investment in NIO. That was back when NIO was almost bankrupt, and then only the local government, the Hefei government, offered them a buyout, or they took a stake in NIO and therefore had new capital. And with that, of course, there were some plans aligned, and they are highlighted here. So I will just give you the translation here. First, it's estimated that revenue in 2020 will be 14 billion yuan with 3 models. In 2024, the revenue will be 120 billion yuan, 6 to 8 models. And from 2020 to 2025, the revenue will be 420 billion yuan. So also having some taxable income here for Hefei. And based on that, of course, I made my business calculation. And in my point of view, that makes NIO a $40 stock in the future when this plan is executed and well on track. I'm currently redoing my business case with all of the updates of what happened, but more on that later, separate video with more details. Basically, it means if you transfer it in today's Chinese yuan to US dollar terms, that would be roughly close below 20 billion US dollars in annual revenues for 2024. And now the question is is NIO on track with that, or are they running behind? So what we know for sure is that NIO is basically selling current models, the ES7, ES6, EC6, ET7, ET5, and the old ES8. Maybe who knows, maybe the ES6 will be phased out. So it leaves us close to those 6 to 8 models, but possibly NIO is also thinking around, how they not only can increase the range of models that they're selling with the sub-brands, but also, of course, overall boosting the revenues to those close to 20 billion annually as planned with this Hefei agreement, right? And so what is the news here? Basically, that NIO is working on these factories. We don't have much detail here whether or not they will be again in conjunction with JAC, possibly the one here, F3 plant, which is located around NIO Park. So note that NIO Park is a big industry conglomerate. It's not only the NIO factory run by JAC, but also additional plants and also lots of the supplier base there. And that one is actually planned for the internal sub-brand codenamed Alps. So that will be selling prices between 150,000 RMB to 300,000 RMB. So that is in straight competition with the likes of Xiaopeng, BYD, and nowadays also Tesla. So that will be, more mass market, a bigger fat market share here that can be accessed. Total addressable market should be increasing quite a bit. I've seen pictures actually of that this planned work is actually already executed. So they have started with all of those little caterpillars and so on running around. I haven't verified this, so that's why I'm not sharing the pictures for now, but that's what I've seen. More interestingly to me is actually the company F4 plant for the codename Firefly, which will be actually the sub-brand that will have a small car dedicated to Europe. Interesting plan there. Haven't seen much details on that yet. So that might be, that's also my biggest criticism usually with NIO, that the cars are so big. I don't like really big cars, maybe because I'm European, and therefore, a smaller car would really fit. And seems like NIO is planning a dedicated plant for that. And there the big question is, who will they be doing it with? The first point here is interesting that they are physically putting it at another place. So it's not in Hefei, actually. That one will be quite a bit away. So here's Hefei. That one will be closer to Nanjing, actually. And I find this location interesting because in Zhuzhou, there also is an interesting project going on here with BYD. They have set up a new battery company, and that one is also located in Zhuzhou. And This one is, I think, due to the fact that they can get quite a bit of subsidies there. So possibly Giga thought that they want to, attract more capital and investment, which makes a lot of sense. And so BYD was jumping on a bandwagon here, but it's only a battery company, right? So I don't know whether or not there might be even a manufacturing plant by BYD there. I haven't checked that one for sure. And all I know is that there will be some sort of a supplier base built around it as well. But now, taking that one in conjunction with the previous news that we had around BYD chairman Wang Chuang, who spotted at the NIO house meeting with William Li here, one may have to think what BYD possibly has to do here with NIO's Firefly project for producing this very low-cost, smaller car for Europe. I don't know. I could just imagine that NIO once again will stick to designing the car and the branding and those sort of aspects, but possibly not about manufacturing it. So I think they might choose another partner. Maybe this type of diversification would make sense in terms of also put it somewhere else. The experience around the lockdowns must have been a very big issue with 2 plants in Hefei, right? So maybe it makes sense to have also a supplier base elsewhere and a factory. And then also, also between partners, not putting everything together with JAC possibly. And also from the battery side, they could, for example, use the plate batteries, LFP batteries from BYD, and BYD might be happy to contribute this to NIO. May also want to look for an entry into battery swapping. Who knows? We don't know whether or not battery swapping will be part of these sub-brands by NIO. But anyways, that's currently what's going on here with those planned announcements, and how I'm thinking about how this may actually fit into the greater plan here of NIO ultimately for the 2024 and 2025 outlines. So for example, the Firefly project is only scheduled for deliveries in the 3rd quarter of 2024. Is it a little bit late for NIO's plans? I don't know, really. I think that's what we need to watch a little bit more closely. In March, we possibly get the announcements for those 2 new factory plants, the F3 and F4 plants. And then we have greater visibility on how those things will run in parallel. NIO brand, the premium to luxury brand, with the factory 1 and 2 in Hefei, then an extension plan for one of the sub-brands and another one possibly with a new partner in a different location. I think it looks more and more realistic that these goals from the Hefei agreement can be reached with that, but the question is whether or not there will be any time delays in between, and so things will be staying unsecure. We don't know whether or not they can execute. Of course, last year has terribly shown that NIO has sometimes time lags and a lack of execution. So we'll see whether or not these projects can pan out in the future. What do you think about it? Please let me know in the comments below. Please also share this video. Please consider subscribing and also become a patron of this channel. Thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.